Dr. Tyrel Detweiler here with High Performance Group, and today we're going to look at the foot and talk a little bit about some of the unique things we do in this office that really help our athletes and active populations out when it comes to pain, stiffness, or issues with the foot and ankle. So with us being in winter and moving into the spring here very soon, there's a lot of sports that have a lot to do with the ankle and that have ankle and foot issues such as sprains or various pains and stiffness in the ankle and foot. So, some of those being like your basketball, we have things like even cheer, soccer's getting started up, track and field's coming up. So a lot of these sports have a lot to do with the foot and ankle, and if we don't have proper function there, we can definitely have some issues rise up. So Caitlin, our office manager, has volunteered to be a lovely assistant here, and actually she does do some dancing and choreography, so even with her in that situation, a lot of foot and ankle involvement, so it's a good idea to make sure that these joints are all moving correctly. So the first joint that we're going to look at is going to actually be the ankle joint itself, so it's going to be right here in that portion of the ankle, and what we're really looking at here is that back and forth, that flexion and extension of the ankle, the dorsiflexion, plantar flexion of the ankle. So we can adjust both on the inside and on the outside of that joint to make sure that as that joint is articulating, that it's moving smoothly. So I'll show you that here. Good. So what we're just making sure we're doing is getting a nice distraction in the ankle, making sure that it's moving correctly and gliding it through that range of motion. This is obviously really good for any basketball players, anyone that has a history of ankle sprains. We do want to make sure that this joint is moving correctly. So the next joint that we have is actually moving into the heel. And a lot of people think of this whole area of the foot being the entire ankle, but actually our ankle joint's up here that we just looked at, and we have our heel, which is a completely different joint down here. Now oftentimes when we start working with this joint, what people will notice is they have that kind of jamming sensation, show you on the other ankle, out here into this little bony part of our ankle that seems like it's just jamming down into our heel. So this is more of just a manipulation to just make sure that calcaneus, that heel, is just moving and sliding correctly. Okay, so really simple. And we're just making sure that that joint is moving correctly. Usually there's not a whole lot of cavitation in this one. We're just trying to make sure that we can feel that in and out motion of that ankle. So the next part that we're going to go into is the midfoot. Some of you might know this as the navicular bone, but really we're looking at the arch of the foot. Okay, now this one's very, very important for people that have things like plantar fasciitis, any sports like football or track or soccer, any sport that's going to have the use of a footwear that has more of a solid plate or that doesn't have a whole lot of support. So this one's really important. People with high arches, people with low arches, issues with the arch in general, and those are all areas in which we want to make sure that this joint is moving correctly. So for this one, I'm going to have Caitlin, you're just going to hold on to the table so I don't traction you down, kind of feel how that happens. So for this one, we're just getting a hold of the ankle joint, of the navicular, and we're just making sure that it's gliding through its movement of collapsing and arching into that foot. Okay. Good, got a little bit of a movement there. All right, so the next joint we're going to go into is actually going to be the big toe, commonly known as the MTP joint. And this joint is really important because in any sprinting athlete or any individual that's producing a lot of ground forces with the foot, they're going to have to be able to flex this big toe correctly in order to get the most propulsion that they can out of this. So this would be kind of like your turf toe or any issues with gait. We have to go to this big toe because it's actually the last thing that leaves the ground when we're walking, when we're running, or anything like that. So this one's pretty simple. I'm actually working right here, this joint, but I'm gonna grip here, and actually that already went, but we're just gonna make sure. Yep, and actually hers went as soon as I touched it. So I can also go through the other joints and I can just pull on them a little bit. This is a little bit more just vague and feels pretty good. Not too big of a deal there. So that's really the joints that we adjust with the foot. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other ankle. Obviously we wanna make sure everything's bilateral, that we're taking care of both feet. But those are the joints that we kind of look at. So I'm gonna go through all 4 of these just quickly as I would normally with a client when they're in here. We're working through any kind of other dysfunctions. We wanna come down to the heel, to the foot, to the ankle, and just run through those quick. Okay, should just hold on to this side of the table. Pretty good one. So that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave us a message. You can email us at feelgreat@hybrid-performance.net. And if you're an athlete within the Columbus area, have any kind of previous ankle issues or a current ankle issue, definitely check us out, because a lot of times this is not something you typically get in an office and it can make a world of difference.